Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron channel, Massive Iron Live. It is Friday. What do we got? Friday the 13th. Let us not forget it is Friday the 13th. I'll try to be as spooky as possible today. How you guys doing? Appreciate you guys being here. Just a reminder, I'm here every Friday on every Friday. I've been here every Friday for the last 258 years, or maybe weeks, or something like that. I do it live every Friday at 11 a.m. It's kind of a podcast thing, kind of a Q&A thing. Post up your questions, diet, training, nutrition, off topic, whatever, as long as it's reasonable. You know, we'll do it. I got the Massive Iron shirt on today. I got the beard coming back in. I don't know what the wife thinks of the beard, but we're gonna try it for a while, see if we can slip it in. Had a good deadlift session yesterday. My deadlifts are coming around a little bit. We're getting back up there. We'll be back up to 600 in no time. I've been kind of babying things slowly. I've been doing 430 by 5 the last couple of weeks. Feels pretty light, but I want to let my connective tissue get up there. I'll be pretty happy when I get back up to 500 by 5. So anyway, lifting is going good. I'm running the Massive Iron BLT program for the bench press, which is the bench long-term program, BLT. It is what it is. We need a catchy name, right? And I'm on Monday, it'll be week 4. And what am I up to? 235 for 10 of 10. And next week I'll be doing 240. So that's my story. Before we get into things, if your question doesn't post, try shortening it, try rewording it. And if that doesn't work, you can head over to Instagram app and the Barman app and the Barman. Slide into my DM, post your questions. I'd be glad to help. So yeah, that's about it. How you guys doing? How's your training going? I'm kind of OCD, so we got the chain here and the things right here. We have to fix that a little bit before we get started. Where to go? We have to pull that up. We have to get that up in the position, or else we'll be. This is what we got right here, in case you're wondering. Anyway, like it's absolutely any meaning at all, right? It's just a thing. So let's get into things. Before we do so, just a reminder, guys, that coaching is what I do for a living. I was voted the Online Coach of the Year for 2023. If you're interested in coaching, you can check out the link. It just says coaching. It is right now only $89.40 after the first month, and that rate will stay that way for as long as you are a client. I do things a little bit differently when it comes to coaching. I don't just check in once a week via email. Not a big fan of doing that. I check in Monday through Friday with my clients, and we make adjustments on the daily. So, yeah. Let's get rolling. Let's see what we got going, guys. Let's see what we got going on. We got a lot of stuff here before 11. So I want to dive in and get moving with some things. Assassin is first today. I adopted Assassin. She is a assassin, beekeeper, kickboxing, Muay Thai. Probably got that messed up. She's on Team Massive and one of my favorite people. Have a great weekend. Much love from your favorite Queen Bee Assassin. Martin, client of mine from the UK. What's your view on how much stress affects recreational lifters? Do you see being permanently highly stressed? I don't know. It really depends on a lot of things. I mean, I'm not going to play psychologist with you guys, but you know, there are times in my life where I was highly depressed, highly stressed, and the iron was kind of my outlet. So I've been in positions, especially during the pandemic when they shut my wife's business down. And I came back from Scotland, they shut the gyms down. I thought I was going to lose my business. So there was times when I was highly stressed. And I know that stress can impact, you know, a lot of things. It can be extremely crazy. I don't see it as a barrier, no. I mean, you know, ultimately we have the choice whether to get in the gym and do something. And I would hope that the gym would be kind of a stress relief or kind of a grounding point. That's the way I've always looked at it, is that the gym was always kind of a grounding point for me, meaning no matter how bad my day was, my life was, my week was, my job was. I could always go into the gym, and that was the one thing I could control. I can't say that I see stress as a barrier. I can see it. I understand it to the degree where I can see it becoming debilitating, right? I've had periods during my life where the stress was pretty intense. So I'm not diminishing it. I'm not diminishing fringe cases of stress. And when I say fringe, I'm not being derogatory at all. I just mean, when I say fringe, I mean really extreme cases of stress. I can see that where that can be semi-debilitating. But in any case, for the average, outside of the extreme case, no, I don't see it as a barrier. I don't see it as a barrier at all. We still have to make choices, and we still have to make tough choices. I am not someone that is going to coddle anybody. And the reason why I don't coddle anybody is because I don't coddle myself. I do not accept bad results, mediocre effort from myself. I just don't. And because I don't accept it from myself, I don't accept it from you guys. Right. And, there are certainly, I'm all for balance, right? We need time in our life to relax, to take it easy, to take a stress break, all those things. So I'm absolutely for balance. I'm absolutely for pacing. I'm absolutely for taking care of yourself mentally. But I'm not going to coddle anybody. I'm not going to tolerate their excuses. If you become unbalanced, right, meaning you use stress as an excuse not to lift or not to eat right or whatever, and I see that on a daily basis as a coach to a degree from, in some cases. If you're going to use stress to become unbalanced, you either need to seek help or you need to be real with yourself. Are you just making excuses? So I don't really know, Martin. That's probably not a really great, not a great answer. I'm not a psychologist. I'm just giving you my general off the cuff thoughts. Grip training. All right, let's talk about grip training. I absolutely do. I've done everything during my years of lifting. I've tried nearly everything. I've written about everything. As an editor, I've edited many grip training articles. There are three basic things I want you guys to think about when it comes to grip. Okay, you have crush grip, and this is a generalization, but it's a really good starting point. You have crush grip, so you can get captains of crush grippers, and if you're not certain what those are, you can Google them, and they're just grip training devices, right? I bought the whole set during the pandemic. We had all that pandemic cash, right, flying around. I bought the whole set thinking I'm going to, get strong on these grippers. And the first two are a lot more intense than I thought. But I wouldn't recommend getting more than the first two just to get proficient at those. But you have crush grip, okay? You have kind of your static hold grip where you're holding a barbell or holding yourself in like a pull-up position. And then you have pinch grip. So pinch grip, you could, for example, grip something like a plate or two plates together. Pinch could be your thumb and one finger, your thumb and two fingers, your thumb and three fingers. Probably not four fingers, right? But you could probably put that into place. So that's pinch grip. And, kind of the static hold grip, you could train using farmer's carries or that sort of thing. So those are the basics of grip training. One of the things that bothers me is when somebody wants to use their back training day as a way to train their grip, right? I want you guys to always remember, when you're training your back, you want to train your back, not your grip. You're training, you're doing your back exercise, you're doing your deadlifts to get your deadlift stronger. If your grip is a weak point, then you need to train your grip after deadlifts, after back, right? We're not going to be stupid, okay? We're not going to be dumb. We're not going to train our grip during deadlifts. We're going to use straps. We're not going to train our grip during dumbbell rows. We're going to use straps. Doing that sort of thing, not strapping up during your deadlifts and your dumbbell rows and your back work, encourages elbow tendonitis, which is one of the top 2 injuries I see from consistent lifters. So I hope that helps a little bit. Big Billy Baker, a client of mine. How's it going, Bill? Happy Freitag. Andy's Kitchen Garden. I always want to say garbage or whatever. I don't know. It's just coming off the tongue like that. So if I ever screw up, Andy, I'm sorry. Is it okay to change the order of push, pull legs to push, to pull, push, rest, pull, push, legs, rest? Yeah, absolutely fine. If you only want to work your legs once a week, you're not going to get any argument from me. There are no magic training splits as long as the weekly volume looks reasonable. You're in a good place. As long as your exercise selection looks reasonable, you're in a good place. So always remember, guys, as long as the split or approach is reasonable and the volume is reasonable, the outline of the program is reasonable, you're in a good place. So I have no problems with that at all. What's going on, Yvonne? Yvonne Navarro from Team Massive. How's it going, buddy? Would adding creatine to hot drinks be less effective? No. Creatine is creatine, right? As far as I know, it's not going to chemically degrade under heat. So let's ask ChatGTP, shall we? Because let's see what the old wizard AI says about ChatGPT. How shall we phrase this? Okay. Does creatine break down at any? Oh, I got to put on the mic. Does creatine break down at any mic? I said microphone. Let's try this over. Does creatine break down chemically at any hotter temperatures? Let's see what ChatGTP says here. Yes, creatine can break down when exposed to high temperatures, particularly over extended periods of time. When exposed to temperatures above 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 Celsius, it begins to degrade into creatinine, a byproduct that is much less effective. Stability is also influenced. Yeah, so it looks like it can break down to creatinine, slightly less effective. I've never heard of anybody adding it to hot drinks. I'm not calling you a weirdo, but you might be a little bit on the weirdo side. Just joking. Yeah, I don't know. Probably wouldn't do it. Let's be safe. We don't need any degradation, right? Andy, tips for longevity and lifting when you're in your 40s and over. Is there a difference in training? Everything we do at any age, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, is all about evolving training based on needs. This is a pillar of success in the massive iron world. It doesn't matter. Everybody's got a unique circumstance. You have age, you have injury history, you have stress demands, etc. Everybody has a unique set of circumstances. So it's not specifically there's a magic number of things you should do or a magic number of changes at age 40. It's more about evolving your training based on needs wherever you're at, age, injury, history, whatever. That's a pillar of success. We can't control, the cards that are given to us. If you have limited time to work out, if you have an injury history, we can't control that, but we can respond to that. We can find exercises we can work with. Let's say you're in your 40 and your lower back is jacked up because, I don't know, you had 20 years of being fat, right? And your lower back's just jacked up. 20 years of being fat and lazy, and your lower back is jacked up. And, you have to use an exercise selection that works for you, right? So that's really what it's all about. A lot of people come to me and are like, hey, how do you train your 40s or 50s or 60s or 70s? We start in a reasonable place, and then we evolve our training based on needs. If you are coming to lifting in your 40s, I'd give you probably the same advice I would give you if you're coming to it in your 20s or 30s. don't immediately jump into the cult of barbell where you're doing all squats and deadlifts and all that kind of thing. Get on your machines and your dumbbells, and maybe if you're interested in deadlifts and squats, do them in the periphery. Let's work on form. Let's not dramatically try to overload them. Let's try to work into them, so on and so forth. So no special advice other than to hire me as a coach. That's the best advice I can give you. If you were training big, bad Ronnie Coleman, how would you improve his longevity? If you are the very thing, I want to state this appropriately. The very thing that can make a man successful is also the very thing that can be his demise. Okay? Let that resonate a little bit. The very thing that can make a man successful, man, woman, is the very thing that can also destroy them. The question is, and this is a philosophical one, do you take away, do you deball, do you take away the potency, do you take away the driver that creates this fire, that stokes this fire? If you take that away and change things, would the person be the same person? So that is the philosophical question. Assuming Ronnie would want my coaching and be willing to change, then we obviously would avoid some of the reckless, did Ronnie need to be tossing into squatting 800 or whatever he's doing? And let's be honest, he was strong, but his form wasn't always best at times. It was always a little bit reckless. So we would definitely try to dial in form. We would try to structure things on the more punishing lifts so they were more sustainable. At some point, though, the wheels are always going to fall off the bus. We would just not want them to, we want to be sustainable. That's a battle I fight every single day. I'll be 57 in exactly a month on October 13th. For those of you that want to pool together and get me nice gifts for my birthday, I'd be happy to provide you with many, many suggestions. Just kidding. But in exactly a month, my birthday, it's something I fight on a daily basis. One of the things I've done in the last 5 years is I don't bench heavy. Now, heavy is a relative thing. This week on Monday, I did 235 for 10 sets of 10, right? I'm not trying to bench 400. I don't like training like a pussy. I don't like training like a wet noodle. I don't like training like a limp dick. Excuse me being honest, but we're all adults. I don't like training like that. So I have to find a way for me to train that scratches that itch, that has some degree of brutality. Because this might sound like ego, but it's not. Well, it could partially be ego. I'll let you guys decide it. But I don't want to go into the gym and be anything other than top tier, right? I put too much time into this to want to go into the gym and be anything less than top tier. I want to be top tier. I want to be the best I can be. Is that ego? Whatever. Do I want to beat other people? Well, it feels good to be almost 57 and beating most humanoids I see. That feels good. I'm not going to lie and do some posturing and pretend like it doesn't feel good at all, and I'm not about that at all. Yes, it's not about competing with others. But when we compare ourselves to others to a degree, it's a measuring stick. It can be used as a positive measuring stick as to how we are doing. I like being at the top of the food chain. It tells me I'm doing something right. I've been able to string together longevity. And I can go into any gym And I know if I do 235 for 10 sets of 10 on bench, people are going to start talking to me, right? They're going to start asking me questions, and that opens doors for me to teach. And I like that. I can teach about longevity. I can teach about techniques. But more than anything, I do not want to grow old and be a piece of trash. I want to be the best I can be at every age. And obviously there's going to be some deterioration, right? But I want to be the best I can be at any age. Occasionally, doing this YouTube thing, I'm one of the older crew, right? I'm almost 57 years old. And I'll get comments like, "You're old." No shit. Right? No shit, I'm fucking old. I can't stop age. But what I want you guys to think about when you're looking at the young bucks compared to the big, hairy, ugly dude is, number one, I don't feel old. I can go out and outperform most 20-year-olds. I'm not trying to compete with 20-year-olds. I'm trying to compete with myself, but it reinforces that I'm doing something right. I can go run for 2 hours. I can go bench press 235, 10 by 10. Now, forget the 20-year-olds, and I'm getting a little bit off track here. Forget the 20-year-olds. How many strength coaches do you know in their late 50s that can do what I can do, right? Now, again, not an ego thing. I don't want to be 60 and washed up. I don't want to be 60 and looking back at my glory years. You guys, is that what you guys want? Is that what you want? You want to have glory years in your 20s and 30s and then be a sack of crap in your 40s and 50s and 60s and look back, oh, the glory years. You know what? Fuck that. Every year is going to be my motherfucking glory year, right? Excuse my language. Every year I want to be the best. When I am a shit sandwich, when I'm a sloppy turd sandwich, I call myself out because I do not want to be a sloppy turd sandwich. When you accept futility, when you accept mediocrity, when you accept a sloppy shit sandwich to be the way of your days and your life, you're dead already. I don't care if I live to 57 or 77. I'm going to rip shit up every fucking day that I have a chance to walk around on this fucking earth, right? So to get back to how I would train Ronnie Coleman, I would, out of love and respect, try to keep that balance with him. Obviously, when you're competing to be the best for the Super Bowl, the Olympia, you're going to have to make tough decisions. When I was trying to push for a 2,000-pound raw total, there's a borderline level of abuse that you have to go through. If you want to be upper echelon at something, you're going to have to push yourself physically. So Ronnie did what Ronnie needed to do. But if I had to train him, we would kind of pull back so Ronnie could still be a force of nature. I feel bad for Ronnie. I've met with Ronnie. I've trained with Ronnie. I like Ronnie. I don't know him that well. I got to train with him. I got to spend a day with him. I got to spend a minor amount of time with him at the Olympia, just in friend circles. I didn't have extensive conversations with Ronnie. Ronnie was very quiet on the day we trained together. And he just came off as a good guy, a decent guy, a nice guy. There was nothing about him when you met him that was like, you meet some of these people. I've met a lot of these people in this industry, and a lot of them are just dicks. They are. I can't be any more honest with you. I've met them. I've talked to everybody from John Meadows to Mike Rashid, you name it. Nearly everybody. Hodge twins. I've made videos with the Hodge twins. I've made videos with everybody. It's just one of the benefits of what I did for a living. There are some people that are just assholes. You meet them, they shake your hand, they try to get everything they can out of you. And when they walk away a week later, they unfollow you on Instagram like you're just nobody. People like that, go fuck yourself, right? The fitness influencers are human beings, whatever. We got to be better than that. We got to treat people with respect and love. We have to treat, it's not some competition how many followers you can accrue. I don't play the follower game. We're getting way off track. I don't play the follower game. I do not give a fuck about how many subscribers I have or how many people have followed me on Instagram. The reason why is because every one of you is important to me. Every one of you is important to me. That's not just something I'm saying. Each of you, any of you listening, I want to see you maximize your results. I want to see you get there efficiently. I get pissed off when people waste your time. I see it on my end. The video I made yesterday about Jeff Nippard saying the cable side lateral raise was the best exercise. That pisses me off because it wastes your time. You're not going to grow big shoulders if you think the cable side lateral raise is an S-tier exercise. That's stupid. That is no common sense at all. It's so vaporously idiotic, it pisses me off. Do I care? Do I want to attack Jeff Nippard? No. Why do I care? Because I care about your results. Maybe you think I'm wrong, and maybe you think it's an S-tier exercise. That's okay. But what we can agree upon is this. We care about results, and we don't want to waste time. We don't care about fucking accruing followers. We don't care what your fucking time watched on your YouTube videos are. We're not after that. We can disagree about which exercise is S-tier. We can disagree, but we have respect because me and you, we can sit across the table, across the internet from one another, and we can disagree on which exercise is S-tier. And that's okay because we have the goal of being the best we can be. Okay? We have the goal of being the best we can be. We're not chasing fucking likes. We're not chasing fucking followers. We're trying to help human beings be the best they can be. This is what it is all about. If you want to separate the shit turds in this industry from the people that really, really care about people, there's two categories. You have the people chasing likes and followers and attention, and you have the people that are trying to help people maximize results. Now, if we are trying to maximize our results, it's okay to disagree on some of the minutia, some of the details, because we are on the same team. What hurts is when we are on the same team and we can't see we're on the same team. I disagree with Jeff Nippard. I disagree with Jeff Nippard about the cable side lateral raise being S-tier. But I know that if Jeff Nippard is truly about, I know if he was on this channel and we talked and we were truly on the same team, that we could have an intelligent, respectful discussion, nuance, right? I know that if somebody is just fired up to try to get likes and views, they're probably going to try to go to war with me, instead of seeing we're on the same team. Anyway, long ramble. I'm sorry. Let's get on with things. Have you ever been recognized in public? All the time, dude. All the time. Everywhere. It's all the time. It's to the point where I've been on YouTube so long, and with someone like nearly everywhere I go, somebody recognizes me. And like we went to the Cheesecake Factory. We went to the bookstore in the Cheesecake Factory a couple weeks ago, And I was coming out of the bookstore, and someone was like, right. I was getting a drink the other day at I forgot where we were at, some convenience store. I was getting an energy drink. I turned around, some guy's like, "Are you?" Yeah, that's me. I was in a liquor store about last year, and you're kind of looking around. Where's the scotch? Where's the scotch? Where's the scotch? And you see somebody. You see it. You see it. You see their eyes from across the room. They're looking at you, like, okay. You look away and you look back, and they're still looking at you. You look away and you look back, and they're still looking at you. So you're like, all right. I think he recognizes me from YouTube. So I walked over, and he's like, "Are you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So yeah, I mean, it is part of doing. I mean, I've been doing this since Muscle and Brawn and YouTube for it'll be 20 years in a couple of years. And being at Tiger Fitness locally in Cincinnati and Muscle and Strength, a lot of the lifting community knows me. So yeah, absolutely. It happens quite a bit. That's actually one of my, this might sound a little bit weird, but when I go out in public or do things, that's one of the things that I try to, I hate to say avoid, but like if I go to a certain sporting event or whatever, I want to be able to, just kind of enjoy things. And sure, I'll meet with people and whatever, but you kind of hope sometimes you're not spotted, so you can just, there are some days you just want to relax, if that makes sense. There was one day I was out on the hiking trail, just running along, and some guy starts yelling like 100 yards down in front of me. And he's like, "Hey, we lifted together once." I'm like, I had no idea who he was. So anyway, Big Harris, how's it going, Harris? From Team Massive. On 1 week travel, when you can't exercise and control your diet, is it better to eat less portion size than normal? We need to think reasonable and healthy, right? We need to think, I want to maximize my nutrition. I want to get in my protein. I want to eat lean protein, or I want to eat protein foods when I can. Protein foods are really the micronutrient driver, right? Eat a lot of protein foods, you're going to get a lot of micronutrients. Then we fill in the crack with our animal or plant-based stuff. So you want to get that in as much as you can. From there, we want to be reasonable, right? So we don't want to overeat. We don't want to use traveling as an excuse to eat French fries and cheddar chips and cookies and cakes and pies and all the kinds of stuff. In America, that's very easy when you're traveling, right? So we want to be very mindful. We want to take care of ourselves. We don't want to binge eat. It's okay to have fun. Like if I'm on the road and I stop in a random convenience store and I see a king size Fifth Avenue candy bar, that's my favorite. Like there are a few things in life like you're super passionate about, but that's my candy bar, right? That's my candy bar. So if I'm traveling around, I'm trying to be a good little boy, and I see like a king size Fifth Avenue candy bar, I'm getting two of them. I'm not even lying, man. My wife even knows. She's like, "Let's get two." I'll eat two and I'll crush like, I don't know what the heck it is, like 800 calories with a big monster, and it's just a moment of pleasure. So what I'm saying is like a little bit of straying, a little bit of fun. Allow yourself that room. You're not going to get obese. Do I think you should cut or worry or this or that? Do whatever works for you. Just have fun. Try to get in your nutrients when you can. If you need to have a little bit of fun, you can. You're not going to get fat with a couple of days of loose eating. Some people, if they're going to, what I tell people, if you're going on vacation, have fun, relax. Don't mentally think about it. Just don't abuse your body. If it's not vacation, if you're just doing something for work or whatever, I like to be a little bit more structured. But again, if I'm walking in the convenience store and I see the Fifth Avenue candy bar, I'm getting all kinds of. If you want a birthday gift idea for me, and my birthday is October 13th, you can get me a box of Fifth Avenue candy bars, right? I would be a very happy boy. I'd be a fat boy too. But seriously, if I'm going away for a week and it's like work related or not vacation, I'm probably generally going to try to eat a little bit less or eat a little bit less during the day. How to enjoy the bulking process? That's a loaded question, my friend, because I'm not judging. I'm not being critical, but that tells me you don't enjoy it and you're trying to find joy in the process. I can't infuse you with joy. On the other hand, if you lift and you don't enjoy the process, you're not going to really build any quality amounts of muscle mass. You'll build a little bit. I'm not trying to guilt you into anything, but you have a choice. We're adults. You have a choice. Sometimes things we do as adults don't bring us joy, but we know the results are going to come. I don't get joy from flossing my teeth. I do in a bigger, more, I don't know what we would say, like doing the right thing sense. I floss my teeth tonight. I'm not going to have nasty butt breath, right? So I don't enjoy the process of flossing. It's the same with lifting. You have to know in a bigger picture sense, I did the right thing. Doing the right thing doesn't always inherently mean we enjoy it. Being a good citizen, expressing patience when you're out in public, holding the door for someone that might walk slowly and take advantage of that, or just be vaporous or not very mindful and appreciative of what you're doing. There are a lot of things we do in life that are the right things to do that we don't necessarily enjoy. And there's different levels of joy, right? But we might not deeply enjoy them. But always remember that you have to do the things that are required to get the results you want. You have to do that. There's no way around the mountain. There's no other plan. But at the end, when you do the hard thing, that's where the growth takes place. The things you might not enjoy sometimes become your greatest source of enjoyment. Pushing, stretching, pushing the limits, pushing the boundaries, breaking down walls, pushing through barriers. There's a mental pushback. It's trying to kill you, not literally. There's a comfort thing. There's fear pushing against you. Your personal biases and your fears of getting fat. And all this nonsense that isn't the truth. It's trying to stop your progress. It's a liar. It's a deceiver. I'm going to get fat if I bulk. No, you're not. That's the voice in your head telling you that. Because you are smarter than that. You can control your calorie intake. You can plan. You can use my system of bulking or anybody's system of bulking that doesn't promote fat gain, and you have control. Lying. These voices are lying to you. These fears are lying to you. We know because there are many people being successful using the process. So, Harris, I'm going to tell you with love, I do not give a fuck if you don't enjoy the bulking process. I don't give a fuck. And I'm not being insensitive. I'm telling you this because I care. You need to do the right thing if you want to build muscle. If not, you need to accept the consequences. But one thing you will not do, and I hope you will not do, is spend the next 20 to 30 years of your life in limbo. There are so many people out there that are spinning their wheels, never making progress, never moving forward, always trying to find a way around the mountain, a magic way, a quicker way, a program hop, a little stay at maintenance, maintaining, plantating, maintaining, gaintaining. Ain't going to work. So you have to wake up and you have to push back against yourself. Do I have a rational fear? is something pushing against me internally that's trying to prevent me to do something that inside I know is the right thing to do, then you have to fight back. Nobody gets to a good place in life unless they push back. You have to push back. You already know because of your question what the right thing to do is. So you need to write down in a little handy notebook. You need to get your little pen. You need to get your little piece of paper. You need to write down a notebook what I know to be true, what I know is required, and what my fears are. And then you need to process that, and you need to get moving. You need to move forward. All right. Barbell Beauty from Team Massive. How's it going? Barbell Beauty is absolutely crushing things, lifting-wise, strength-wise, bulking-wise. And you know what? She's a woman. What do I mean by that? Like, women tend to fear bulking. Women tend to fear heavy weight. She is doing everything right, and I couldn't be more proud of her because every time I look at her lifts, she's stronger than last time. She's super motivated. Her physique is changing. I can see it. Just a beautiful thing to see. McBean, how's it going? Have a great weekend. You can check out Mr. McBean on Instagram. Watch his big bench press extravaganzas. Big Joe B, a client of mine. 2 weeks ago, bumped up dumbbell bench and my sets tanked. That's the way it works. Then last week, hit progression. No. When you move up in weight, your reps are going to drop, Joe. That's the way it works. Okay? 55 by 10 on it. I'm going to use an example. 50 by 10 on dumbbell bench is the same as 55 by 7. Strength-wise, you move up in weight, your reps drop. You move up in weight, your reps drop. You bumped up your dumbbell bench and the sets tanked. What you mean by that is your reps drop. That's the way it works, Joe. That's 100% the way it works. You hit your rep indicators, your progression indicators. You move up in weight, your reps drop. Then you push to move back up, your reps. Move up in weight, your reps drop. That's the cycle. You're not losing strength. That's the way it works. What's the proper foot position for the hack squat? Well, first off, you want to start with your feet kind of in a natural position. Not straight forward, not doing this widey toe thing. Natural, a little bit angled out. Generally, now hear me out. They tend to place their feet too low on the pad on the hack squat. I'd rather have you place them a little bit higher for starting, and then we can adjust. Placing them too low, like right at the bottom of the plate, can make it harder for you to hit depth. So let's start a little bit higher. Let's see how that feels, and then we'll adjust from there. You want to have a natural foot width, just what feels natural. Not too narrow, not super wide, just natural and toes angled out, and that's your starting position. Big Martin, what lifts did you used to value, enjoy that you don't? Let me get a drink here and think about this. I've been thinking about this one since I saw it pop up. What do I no longer enjoy? On bench, I've been pretty much doing the same thing forever. On chest, nothing. I've pretty much been using the same lifts. I've used a variety of lifts over the years, tested things and tried things, and I made long runs with front squats and long runs with good mornings. I assure you of this. Any lift I've given to you or given to a client or given to anybody or talk about, I've spent years under the bar with that lift, even if I don't like it. Years. Front squats, good mornings. Zercher squats, zombie squats, pin squats, you name it. I've tried everything, every variation. Been around the block 100 times. The things I use are generally the things I've always used. The things I've tried, there's a lot of things I've tried that I found I didn't enjoy, but I set them aside. But all the lifts I use now are pretty much all the lifts I've always used. There are lifts that are conventional in the sense that they've been a part of bodybuilding history that I don't enjoy, like dumbbell flies. Cable crossovers. I don't particularly enjoy pec deck. I'll do it if I have to. I'll get the most out of it. Just because I enjoy it doesn't mean I won't get the most out of it if I have to use it. But there's not really Romanian deadlifts. I think the only exception would probably be the Romanian deadlift. It's always a love-hate relationship, but I have switched a lot lately to stiff leg deadlifts. I just find it's more friendly for the core and lower back, and I can still work the hamstrings. How do you track progress on the forearm wrist roller? So the wrist roller, if you guys aren't familiar with that, it's a little thing, and you got a rope, and you got weight, and you hang it off it, and you roll it up, and you roll it down. You got two variables. You got weight, and you have number of times you roll it up. So obviously when you're rolling, and we're doing, you guys can make an animated GIF from this if you want, go ahead. Here's your chance. The wrist roller, obviously, when you're rolling it up, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. You can count reps like that, or you can count them like 1, 1, 2, 2. You can count them any way you want. Doesn't matter. So you can count reps, but obviously there might be some minor variance. You might get 11 rolls one time, 10 rolls the next. So what I tend to do is count the number of times up and then back down as one set. That's how I do it. So I would unify the number of sets you want to do per workout. If you want to do extra, that's fine. And then I would focus on weight. And when I am feeling like the last set for wrist rollers was manageable, then I might move up a couple pounds. Does that make sense? Bonu, how's it going? Team Massive, wish you all a great night and day. Thank you, sir. You too. Richard, greetings. In your power muscle block program, can you replace the conventional deadlift with a stiff leg deadlift in the power portion of the back? They function slightly differently. Let me explain. There's certainly a way to work in any exercise you like, first off, okay? The deadlift is more of a trap and upper back builder, and the stiff leg deadlift is more of a lower back and hamstring focus. So we shift the focus slightly. It doesn't mean that the deadlift doesn't hit the hamstrings and the lower back. It doesn't mean that the stiff leg deadlift doesn't hit the upper back to a degree, and the traps it does. But there's a slight difference, okay? So you can add the stiff leg deadlift in. I just want to make sure you're getting enough back work weekly. So you might have to add in another back exercise somewhere in your weekly program, because I would not consider the stiff leg deadlift specifically an upper back. I wouldn't count it towards upper back work. Does that make sense? It's going to work the upper back to a degree, but if I'm going to put that into my program, certainly you can. But I would check in on what your total upper back work is and see if you need another set. Big Mike M, client of mine. What's a good rep range for DDP protocols and barbell overhead squats? I give out the starting point of 7, 10, and 12. For any of you guys that don't know what DDP is, it's dynamic double progression. Each set uses its own weight and its own progression indicator. So on bench press, first set, you could have a progression indicator of 7. Let's say you're doing 200 pounds on your first set of bench. You hit 7, next time you move up to 205. Your second set's going to be using a different weight. When you say we use a progression indicator of 10 on that second set, When you hit 10, you move that second set up in weight. So each set is going to have its own weight and its own progression indicator. Generally, I start around 7, 10, and 12. You can do 8, 10, and 12. You can adjust whatever you want. Doesn't matter, as long as the rep ranges are reasonable. Big Eric, you are a great example of consistency. Consistency for being there for the community, being polite, and helping others. Again, thank you. Thank you, Eric. That means a lot. It truly does. One of the things, I love what I do, and one of the things I've always tried to do is be there for everybody. I'm human. I'm going to have good days and bad days. I think last week I responded to the Monster Energy drink a little bit reactionary. I had a question on it. I do that from time to time. I appreciate you guys' patience. Big Stein, how's it going? Stein, happy Friday. Big Eric. Another question. For some time, I'm training 5 to 6 days a week. I'm feeling fine. My regeneration is good. Okay, so Eric is training more on what we would consider the higher volume, higher frequency, more intense end of the spectrum. More work per week. Last days, I stumbled upon old school bodybuilders who train 3 to 4 days a week, partly full body. That's really old school. Can you brainwash me that I'm not going to encourage you to do anything? You need to, Eric. There's a pillar of success in the massive iron world called evolving training based on needs. There's no magic program. There's no magic number of days. You do not need to train like them, because that once you start to believe that, you're falling into the pit of lies. As long as you are training hard, progressing, and recovering, you do, Eric. If you look at the last 70 years of lifting, everybody trains differently. You're not going to be able to train 5 to 6 days a week forever. Some days, some weeks, some seasons in your life, you might only be able to do 3 or 4. Don't start for a second to believe you have to switch. That's one of the biggest lies. You do you. As long as you're training hard, progressing, and recovering, you do you. They did what they like to do. You do what you like to do. Hard work is key. Shelly, client of mine. Good morning, team. Massive gains on. All right. We're about 53 minutes in. We're going to keep the train rolling. You guys post up your questions. We got a lot of questions left to come. I'm going to take just a quick break here for a second to gulp down some energy. I'll remind you guys over at my website, superlivingtoday.com. Where is it? Over at superlivingtoday.com. Coaching tab, I got apparel. Over there, you can get a custom workout. Check out my new book called Massive Omnibus. And I have a community. If you check the link, the description box, the last couple of videos I made this week, we have a community on Discord. Love to have you. Doesn't cost you anything unless you want to get in on form checks and some of the more advanced features. All right. Let's do some things. Follow me on Instagram at Ben the Barman. Where are we at? Andy, woohoo. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it. Thoughts on reverse hypers? Good choice. Solid exercise. Nothing. I have nothing against it. Good choice. If it fits, if you like it and you find good value, rock with it. I really can't say more than that. Just learn form, proper form, try to get the most out of it, and you're good to go. Big Ryan, what's up, Steve? Hope you're doing good. Thank you. Same to you. At the gym now, hitting shoulders. Have a good workout. Big Ernie Peterson. Good morning, Ernie. How's it going? Client of mine. Big Justin Jones. Can 2 to 3 nights of not enough sleep affect workouts? It could, yeah. You just never, the body is so complex. You just really never know how it's going to impact you. You ever have a sleep-deprived night, and the next day you crush a workout? Like, where'd that come from? And then you get a good night's sleep that night, and the next day you feel like death and have a bad workout. You can never tell. So my only advice for you is to focus on what you can control, do what you can, and always expect chaos, right? Ian, would you recommend Power Muscle Health program for someone through? Yeah, if you have a good understanding of form, absolutely. Absolutely, you can do just fine on it. Let me know if you have any more questions on that. Big beef cake, the cake of beefiness, the big cake. Good to see you all, massive, beefy animal manimals. Ian, I can never understand, is it just by feel? Why do 2 sets of exercise instead of 4? Or why do 3 instead of 4 or 5? Overthinking. You're in the overthinking zone. First off, we have to be pragmatic about programming. We only have so much time in the week, and this is going to be a quick lesson in programming. So, you have a certain amount of time you can dedicate to hard training per week. Generally, for about every training day, you can do about 18 hard sets. That's a good place to start. We're not trying to create rules here. We're trying to create reasonable starting points. So you have, let's say you have 4 days a week you can train. We're going to start with about 18 hard sets per day, because after that you might feel like a flat tire, or you might be able to squeeze in 3 more sets, but this is our starting point. So 4 training days per week, 18 sets per day. All of a sudden you have 72 hard sets per week. We're going to use the massive iron rule of 2/3. You're going to take 2/3 of those sets you have to train. We're going to use those on the big 4, the primary 4 areas: chesticles, back, deltoids, and quadriceps. So 2/3, that'd be 48 sets or 12 sets apiece. That's our starting point. 12 sets for quads, 12 sets for back, 12 sets for delts, 12 sets for chest. The other 2/3, we're going to assign to bicepticons, tricepticons, and hamstrings. And then from there, you can add in anything else you want to train. Forearms, neck, hips, calves. You're full. Okay? So now you have your sets per exercise, a body part. Now we need a reasonable selection of exercises. You have 12 sets. Let's say you have 12 sets to do on chest. Some people might want to do 6 exercises for 2 sets, or 4 exercises for 3 sets, or 3 exercises for 4 sets. All of these are reasonable. You might want to do only 2 sets on RDLs, but 4 sets on leg presses. That's reasonable. We have to look at the weekly volume per body part. We can't stand in front of the tree and say, why do 2 sets for this? Why do 3 for that? Why do 4 for that? Why do 5 for that? We're missing the bigger picture. What I'm trying to flesh out to you is the bigger picture. The little details do not matter, Ian. If you want to do only 2 sets for deadlifts and 5 for seated cable rows and 3 for pendlay rows and 3 for lat pull downs or 4 for lat pull downs, it might not make sense to me. But I look at the weekly volume. Weekly volume's in check. Weekly volume's in check. Exercise selection is solid. Reasonable number of sets per week. You're good to go. Look at the bigger picture, the forest, not the trees. I hope that makes sense. When we start staring at the details, like thinking there's magic splits or magic number of sets or magic rep ranges, we're entering the danger zone, because all of these areas are lies. None of them are magic. The bigger picture is always the story. That's what I teach in Massive Iron. You can check that out in my book, Massive Omnibus, book number 1. We have the 10 pillars of success. You don't want to buy my crap, you don't have to buy my crap. I give it away for free on here Everything's given away for free. I've gone over the massive iron pillars of success on a live video. I went through every one of them. They're posted on Instagram. All my information is given away for free. But if you want more information, more detailed information, check out my book. Jeff, a few weeks ago, you recommended VersaGrips for elbow tendonitis. Elbow feels much better. Glad to hear that. You are the man. Thank you. I'm so glad to hear that because arguably one of the number one injuries for serious lifters is elbow tendonitis, and it comes from overusing grip, right? So by using grip support, you're going to help fend off or relieve to varying degrees elbow tendonitis. Prime. How do I prevent the barbell from rolling when I initiate the pull? The barbell shouldn't be rolling. You want to set up, get about, this is a starting point. We're not trying to create rules. Get about 40, you're standing straight up. You want to see about 40% of your foot in front of the barbell when you look straight down. You're standing up. Then you grip. Get your hips in place and drive your shoulders straight up. If that bar wants to roll, it could be too far in front of you, or it could be way close on your shins. And when you're pulling up, it's either trying to move forward to find that center of balance, or the bar is way too in front of you when you pull. It's trying to find that center of balance and moving towards you. So get a video from the side. I'd be glad to take a look. Join the Team Massive Discord and let me help you with form. Okay? Beyond that, if your form is good and the bar wants to roll, sometimes I'll put 2.5 pound plates in front of this. This is a cup holder, obviously, or a thing. Put your thing on, right? I have many things to put my things on, right? Depending on what you want. I have the BMOC thing to put your thing on, or the bear thing to put your thing on, right? So if your plate is like this, sometimes I'll put the 2.5 pound plate in front of the 45 pound plate so it can't roll forward. Does that make sense? Ian, do you see calf train? No. There are certainly people with gifted calves. I have gifted calves. My calves are huge. I don't ever need to train them. There are certainly people with gifted calves. I think there's always an argument to have everything in the human body reasonably strong, right? We don't want to have any weak areas. There's no benefit from being on planet Earth with anything weak. Do you have to overwork calves? No. Do you have to bring them up in the balance like a bodybuilder? No. But don't feel guilty. I don't train my calves, rarely ever. Big Mike M. Am I doing something wrong if I feel lat pull downs on my biceps? Well, you can certainly. I mean, that's a compound movement. Sometimes it's hard to avoid, but yeah, I mean, you could be overstressing your biceps. On a lat pull down, you want to think about driving your elbows and shoulders back. I do V-bars. I've really fallen in love again with V-bars because I can really feel my lats work. But you want to think about driving your elbows and shoulders back to move the weight. Like a martial arts strike, right? Boom. Down. Okay? That's what you want to do. And then if you're driving the elbows down, if you get a little bicep stress, that could be normal. Just make sure it's not extreme. Big Ernie Peterson. How would you program kettlebell swings? They're not going to take a lot of time. I mean, you can do them on rest days if you want. Just make sure you're fresh for your posterior chain movements, squats, RDLs, deads. It depends on your kettlebell, how many reps you like to do. I tend to program at the end of a client's workout when I program them because I'd prefer you be rested for your next full body day. So I would do them like 2 to 3 sets of 20 to 30. And if you want to do more. But I would do them at the end of a workout. Ultra Peachy Keen is the best monster flavor, followed close by Ultra Fiesta. I got Ultra Strawberry Dreams. I had to drink this Ultra Paradise. That's like my third favorite because they're out of purple. This has become my favorite about purple. I'm just turning pink. I can't help it. What's the best piece of advice you would give somebody in their 20s? Three things. What do you love to do? What do you love to do in your free time? Figure that out. Find a way to make a living at it. That's what I'm doing. Living the dream. Living the dream. Absolutely. Feel so blessed. Every day I get to wake up and talk about lifting. I wanted to be an astrophysicist. I wanted to go to space when I was a kid, but my free time was lifting and reading about lifting. And it's okay sometimes for things to not work out how you thought. What do you love to do? Find a way to make a living at it. Help people do the same thing. Even video games. Maybe collecting baseball cards. Whatever it is. People need education. They need help. Find a way to educate them and make money. Not that hard. Find a way, even if it's a degree. You like studying languages? Find a way to make money doing that. Teaching language. Do something. So that's number one. Number two, be pickier when it comes to relationships. If there's no spark the first or second time you're with somebody, move on. There are going to be a million other opportunities. You just don't see it. There's going to be a million, billion, billion, billion. And the more confident you get, the more mature you get, the better that river flows. And we're not trying to be crude. We're not talking about sex. But the more confident you get, the more sure of yourself you get, the more, you're not like, this is the last relationship I'll ever have, so I need to stick with it. Be super picky. Just wait and don't draw out a relationship when you're not certain. Don't just stay in limbo because somebody's the best choice right now. And number three, no matter what happens, continue to do the things you love to do. Find time to do the things you love to do. I grew up in a family environment where my dad was a very violent alcoholic. And I reacted to that a lot by wanting to be the best dad on the planet for my kids. I took parenting seriously, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I went so far overboard, I never gave myself time to do the things I love to do. I stopped playing music. I like tabletop baseball games. I stopped playing them. I stopped doing a lot of the things I love to do. I stopped lifting for a few years. I stopped taking care of myself. If you become a parent, if you get married, wherever you go, whatever you do, you need to be with somebody that understands the value of you being you. Because you're going to wake up like I am at age 56 and realize, I wish I would have spent more time doing the things I love to do. Paladin, happy Friday. Currently losing all my gains in Greece. Well, just enjoy that Greek food and maybe you can bloat Lord up a little bit. Big Brutus the Barber beefcake. What do you call a cow with no legs? Ground beef. All right. All right, nailed it. Smachu. Sorry. Sorry, I was just being silly. I had to read that twice. Smachu. We're trying to be all phonetic. I recently started squatting toes forward. It scared me a little bit. And my strength is finally consistent. I can produce more force. Going 70 pounds up in 8 weeks is extremely abnormal. I'm not saying you didn't do it. But when I say it's abnormal, I'm not saying it didn't happen or something bad. That's really abnormal rate of progress. If you have a video, I'd like to see it, because it's not as simple as if toes forward are bad. Your toes might be more forward, but still slightly angled, and your angles could be okay. The only thing I can really say here is there's a lot of interesting things going on. Unusual things. Toes forward is unusual because the angle of your thighs have to match the angle of your knees. So a lot of times it has a tendency to throw people forward. So the only thing I can say, and plus with the fact that your squat went up 70 pounds in 8 weeks, that's crazy progress. That's beyond beginner progress, right? So again, I'm not doubting you, whatever. I'm just saying there's so many unique and crazy things going on here. I need to see a video to process it properly. If you have a video, post the link and we'll look at it right here and I'll go over it. Ian, if someone is 200 pounds, 20% body fat, you don't want to try to recomp. That's the biggest waste of time, meaning you're never going to try to gain weight. You need to do the bulking and cutting cycles so you can effectively and efficiently build muscle. In the massive iron world, you can go to my website, Super Living Today, and search bulk, or you can search bulk here on YouTube. You can find my bulking process. You're not going to recomp. You can't gain 20 pounds of muscle and lose 20 pounds of fat and staple yourself to a scale weight of 200 pounds. The biggest mistake is I'm going to stay at 200 pounds and hope my body composition magically gains 20 pounds of muscle and magically loses 20 pounds of fat. Mentally staying connected with a number on the scale is a big mistake. Ask any fitness professional, what are they going to tell you? It's what you see in the mirror. So what you need to do is either lose 10 pounds right now and then do a 10-pound bulk over 4 to 5 months, and then repeat that cycle, or do a 10-pound bulk over 4 to 5 months, lose 10 pounds of fat, and continue that cycle. That's going to keep you at the same weight, but improve your body composition over time. Let me know if you have any more questions. But I guarantee if you don't ever bulk and you just try to hold your body composition, you're going to be one of these guys in the gym 4 to 5 years from now that looks the damn same, might have gained 2 pounds of muscle. You're going to be super frustrated, and you're going to be right back here asking me the same questions. Big Troy, client of mine. Happy Friday, big boss. Troy, I appreciate you more than I can ever tell. More than I can ever say. My clients, I can't even tell you how connected I get with you. I just dream of results from my clients, especially those that are super motivated like Troy. Thanks for supporting through this damn cut, both you and the members of Team Massive. Good work, Troy. Hitting the weekend on a big number. Troy absolutely crushed your cut. Big Victor Big Stone. Victor, you know what? You always support me in the comments. I can't thank you enough. What do you mean whenever you refer to the leverages of an exercise? So everybody has different limb lengths and leverages. I have longer ape arms and shorter legs, relative. Doesn't mean my arms are abnormally long, right? I'm not some circus freak. So the body has different, you can have a longer torso, a slightly shorter torso, longer arms. We each have different limb lengths and leverages. I have a long bicep. It looks impressive at my side, but it looks like a potato when I flex. So I have a longer bicep, different leverages, different insertion points. So the body has different limb lengths and leverages. Exercises, depending on how you do them or how you structure them, can have different leverage fields, okay? Like, what do you mean when you refer to the leverages of an exercise? I'm trying to think of a really good example here of the different leverage profiles of an exercise. Pendlay row, okay? You want your hips to be slightly below your shoulders because that allows you to brace a little bit and drive back. If your hips are up, you decrease the leverage of the lift because more of your weight is forward of the bar. So when you pull, you're not going to be able to generate as much power. On a pendlay row, when your hips are slightly below your shoulders and the barbell's here, you're kind of at an angle. So it's going to be a little bit more powerful from a leverage standpoint. If you're here and your weight's over the bar, you're not going to be able to generate as much force because the leverage profile is a little bit worse. I'm not sure if that makes sense. If you have any examples from specific exercises, let me know. I know I talk about it a lot, but I usually talk about it in regards to specific exercises. We're doing straight sets as a progression indicator. It doesn't have to be. It can be anything. It can be +1, +3. Don't get caught up in the weeds. +2, I only put that because usually when you add 5 pounds, you're going to drop about 2 reps, right? So it's reasonable. You can make it +1. You're still going to fight the same battle. It's just going to be a little bit different, slightly different in how the reps lay out. So if you did 10, 10, 12, 10, 10, 10, and your progression indicator was to hit 12 on the last set, and you did, you would probably at worst hit 10, 10, 10 or 10, 10, 9 next time when you move up 5 pounds. If you did 10, 10, 11 and moved up 5 pounds, you'd probably maybe hit like 10, 9, 8 or 10, 9, 7. So it'd be a slightly different number of total reps. Nothing crazy, but just maybe a half rep to a rep lower per set. Mr. Beef of Cake. If you take care of your booty, then your booty will take care of you. Absolutely. If you take care of your body will take care of you for the most part, outside of acts of God. At your size, how many pull-ups can you do? I can do about a couple, 2, 3, 4, 5. Really about 4, 5. That's what I can do right now. I think the last time I tested was like 6 weeks ago. Mr. Cake of Beefiness. I work out and stay in shape because I want to enjoy my retirement to its fullest and not spend it in doctors' offices. What I refer to as physical freedom. You want to have as much physical freedom at every age as you can. If you live crazy to the point where you're punishing your body and you reduce your physical freedom in your older years, hey, you'll have a lot of good memories, but you'll be a little bit broke dick. Dr. Mike once said, if Ronnie had been... Dr. Mike is so full of shit. Who would be so brash to say something as stupid as this? I'm not calling Dr. Mike stupid. I'm saying the statement is stupid, and it is stupid. You guys can think, if Ronnie would have trained my way, he would have been bigger. Okay. Ronnie did pretty well on his own. So, thank you, Dr. Mike. Big Josh, client of mine. What is your recommended weight gain per month for a woman on a bulk? Women, women aren't going to gain muscle at the same rate as men. It's just physiology. If a man has a potential to gain about 32 pounds of muscle over the course of his life, a woman, I usually say about 1/3 of that. That's still decent muscle. They're going to look fantastic. They're going to look fit. They're going to look nice. They're not going to look bulky. So I usually use 1/3. But when it comes to a bulk, you probably want to do 1 pound to 1.5 pounds. 10 pounds over 6-7 months. That's a pretty good bulk for a woman. Or 8 pounds over 5 months. Something where you don't get too far from home or too sloppy. I see as a nurse, I see every day what happens when you don't take care of yourself. They're alive, but they're not living. Yes, and that's the important point. Above all things, lifting is great. Lifting has given me so many wonderful things: mental strength, physical freedom, confidence, the ability to grow a better beard. Not really. But when we don't take care of ourselves, we are draining from our freedom bank, so to speak. We become less, it's like a battery. You're draining that battery. You're making yourself less free over time. You're going to wake up and it's always going to catch up to you unless you're the 1%. Big Ian. I don't know if you know Sam Sulak, not personally, but it's hard not to know who Sam is. But he has a training type where he just goes in and beats up a muscle going to failure and doesn't track anything. Well, I will say Sam is a lot stronger than where he was now. Okay. So Sam has attacked progressive overload. I want you to understand something. Sam didn't always train like that. I would highly doubt Sam always trained like that. How somebody trains now doesn't mean that's how they built their base. Number one, we need to understand that. Okay. Maintaining mass or gaining a little bit of mass as an advanced lifter is easy. You can have a little bit more free jazz. Sam has a lot of time that he put in where he understands his body, what exercises work, what weight he should be using, and he understands what it means to train hard. And in training hard, he is going to naturally progress. Okay? You can't not train hard and not naturally progress. I can go over to the lat pull down and intuitively, this weight's too light, add more weight, get the most out of a set. Okay. The biggest thing here I want you guys to understand is Sam is a lot stronger than when he started and he trains hard. So these are the keys. Once you have built a lot of mass, you can do a lot more free jazz. Does that make sense? Thoughts on Mr. Avocado's weight loss. I saw some things floating around the internet, but I will be honest with you, and I mean no disrespect. I don't follow that world. You know, I'm mostly on Team Massive Iron. Do you think you'd be able to take Ronda Rousey in a fight with your strength? I don't know. I don't even know what she looks like right now. I don't even know how to say this because I'm put your foot in her mouth either way. Number one, I wouldn't want to fight a woman. Number two, I will tell you, when you are pretty strong, and I'm not trying to elevate myself, but my strength compared to like some guy walking down the strength would be like the difference between King Kong and a teddy bear. You have a definite advantage in that category. I mean, this might sound silly, but this is a conversation I have with my wife. I don't want to get in a fight with people because what I consider, like, I understand the difference in my strength. And again, I'm not trying to elevate myself into some superhuman, but I can do, this week I did 235 for 10 by 10 on bench. To me, that's weak. To the average human being, they can't even fathom that, right? That's kind of the gap that exists. And what I'm getting at here is I don't want to fight somebody where the gap is that big because there's more potential if I did do something properly for me to really hurt them. Does that make sense? I don't. If I were to fight, I would wrestle rather than hit. I would restrain with my strength rather than hit, because I don't want to be smashing somebody's head in the ground. I don't want to be punching somebody's nose. I wouldn't. Would you want to fight a strong man? Honest question. Like somebody that's 6'8", 420 pounds, hands the size of my head, and strength 3 times more than what I have. Would you want to get hit by that? What are the chances something bad could happen, right? So in this theoretical, even though Rhonda is very trained, it would be very interesting. Even though Rhonda is trained, I would have to get lucky even to hit her properly, right? Because I'm not skilled. I'm not a fighter. But in the off chance somebody with a lot of strength hits you properly by happy accident or by skill, that probably wouldn't be a fun day. We'll leave it at that. Happy Friday, Stephen T. Massive. After having 1 or 2 successful bulks under the belt, how could one transition into a more intuitive approach? There is no more intuitive approach. There's the approach and there's not the approach. And I'm saying this with respect. You're either trying to build muscle and using the approach, or you're not using the approach, right? Building muscle is a game of reasonable rules, right? We could still have freedom and fun and whatever, but you can't maintain, plantain, gains, train, whatever, stay at the same weight. Intuitive. What does intuitive mean? You can't intuitive your way out of watching the scale and bulking properly. Does that make sense? I don't weigh my food, but I always know the calorie range. And you got to watch the calorie range in the scale. You can't go, as my mom would say, all willy-nilly. You can't go around willy-nilly. There's a lot of intuitive is a train wreck, my friend. Is a potential train wreck. When they do research on people and they have them estimate their calories, generally from what I've read, they underestimate by 1,000. Now, we're smarter than the average bear because we have a history of tracking. But if we're not going to track it all, we're going to try to be intuitive, then we're fucked. If we're going to, try to be more intuitive with lifting and not we always have to monitor things. You want a specific results, you have to follow the rules. Following the rules doesn't mean weighing your food. It means knowing the ballpark of your food intake, knowing the ballpark of your weight. Either you're trying to gain or you're trying to not gain. I'd say that because I care. You just got to follow the rules. I don't know you, and I don't know your intention. And I don't know what you're thinking in your head. I do know everybody else that's listening is curious. But you have to follow the rules within reason. If not, you're just going to make things impossible. There's no other way. There's either efficient or there's inefficient. I'm doing the reverse Nicholas Okada, but with muscle. That's the way to do it. Ian, if someone wanted to train for powerlifting, would you recommend they just do higher up? Yeah, you got to build a base. The strongest people in the world are almost always the biggest people. You look at any weight class, they've scientifically studied. They did research on this, and in any weight class, the strongest guys are usually the biggest guys. Base building is base building. You can't get strong without a base using rep work. You need a big base. It's just intelligent. It's the way to do things. Big Adonis. Sure, you can get strong. But somebody that has a bigger base is going to get stronger than you, have a bigger potential to be stronger than you. After I've finished your 12-week bench specialization, I'm going to run it for squats. How much other leg work would you add in alongside? I have many, many, many bench programs, Adonis. So the problem I'm having right now is I'm not knowing which program you're using. Over the years, I've made 100 bench programs. So I'm not specifically certain which one you're referencing. Jonathan, when would you advise someone to go, let's say, 3s for bench? Anytime. You can run it in phases. You can run a 3, 4, 5 month phase of one, 3, 4, 5 month phase of the other. Don't overthink this, right? I made a video a couple weeks back about doing different things once you reach the intermediate stage. Try a stage of everything. If we try to analyze who's going to benefit from what, that's a fool's game. That doesn't work like that. You can run things in phases, but you have to see the phase out and give it a fair shake. We can do things in different phases. You don't have to train the same way for the next 10 years. But if you're doing like the 3s protocol on bench, give it a fair shake, 3, 4, 5 months. Then after your cut or your next phase of training, try to 5 by 10. If you like it, extend it. Does that make sense? Let me get a drink. Big JP. Which of your programs would you suggest for having 3 days a week to train? The upper posterior is a good way to approach things. It's very flexible. You have 4 workouts. You have upper A, posterior A, upper B, posterior B. Upper A is chest, shoulders, and arms. Posterior is legs and back, then chest, shoulders, arms, legs, and back. This is a really good way to train. You can do that 3 days a week, and you can rotate between the 4 workouts. You can also do A, upper, B, posterior, C, full body. Good choice. You can also do torso, limbs, rotating over 3 days a week. Torso is chest, back, shoulders. Limbs, arms, and legs. You can do that as well. Many ways to do things. Jonathan, if you need more help, let me know. But those are 3 solid options. And if you're not familiar with any of them, you can find the programs on my website. You can find a workout collection on my website, which has like 300 plus pages of workouts, and they're all here for free as well. Cripple, 3x3 or 3x5. There's no magic set in rep ranges. Everything is in the context of the program. Whenever we have either or questions, the answer is usually both. If you want to try either or, try both. Alternate every other week. But no, there's no magic rep ranges. The magic's in the effort, trying things, seeing what you like, seeing what shakes out well for you. Soy sauce banana. Wish I enjoyed the cutting process. That's right. Most of us enjoy Doritos more than we do not eating Doritos. I'm there with you. JR, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. Big Eric. Thanks for answering about training per week and reminding that you need a split which fits your. Yep, that's absolutely it. Only wondering why some are so big doing less. You're creating fantasies in your head, right? Hard training and progression is the king. Weekly volume is the king. Anybody that only trained 3 days a week, they trained that way hard for 10 years. That's why. They're training reasonable. Don't get caught up in the weeds. It doesn't matter. Do what works for you. They're not bigger than anybody else. That's a lie. The key is that they trained hard and they got stronger over a long period of time. Those are the keys. Fuck programs. Fuck days per week. Train hard, get stronger over a long period of time. Does that make sense? Your thoughts on Big Ben Pakulski? Big Ben Pakulski is saying that it's important to have tension in the target muscle before a rep and having tension in the extremes of the rep range. Anybody have a calculus formula for this? The only thing you need is control. Control the weight down, get a slight stretch, drive that back. Big Ben Pakulski, Big Ben Pakulski. Don't fall into the pit. Don't fall in the confusion pit, my friends. Don't fall in. I'm sure Ben. I don't know what he's saying. I don't know the context of what he's saying, so I'm not being dismissive of it. Sometimes we're saying the same thing, just differently. On seated cable row, you want to control the weight down, get a slight stretch, drive the elbows back, progressively overload, get the most you can out of every rep. Bench press, drive it up, power it up, control it down so it's not bouncing off your chest, so you're not beating up your body, losing tightness. Control mechanical tension, press. Control mechanical tension, press. Right? Control the weight or it controls you. We want to have a reasonable degree of control without slowing the weight. Does that make sense? Common sense, my friends. A lot of times me and the other guy are saying the same thing, just differently. Soy sauce banana. Careful not to drop the weight on the plates you're still using. Yeah, it can happen. You might have that bar bounce on you. I've never had it happen, but I can see it happen. Big Ernie. What muscles does Yates row work versus regular rows? Same thing. Back, just a slightly different nuanced feel. Upper back to a minor degree, biceps to a minor degree, traps. Rat Race, right on. Thank you for tuning in. Danielle. I don't want to pronounce it incorrectly, so I don't want to offend anybody. I bench 365 touch and go at 190. That's incredible. Do I have good potential? You are at good potential, my friend. You're already God tier. Powerlifting, get in there and compete. What are you trying to? I mean, powerlifting. Everybody that comes to me, whether it's strong or weak, asks if they have what it takes to be competitive. You are already competitive. Powerlifting isn't about. It's about beating yourself. Just go do it. Have fun. Go compete. You're already lifting. 6'2", being hindered. Dude, you're already benching 365 at 190. That's Hercules. You don't sound hindered to me. Stop overthinking this, and I mean that with love. You are impressive. Go in. Just sign up. You need to sign up today. Stop worrying about whether you're competitive. Go have fun. Jonathan. I'm bulking from 170 to 200 in 11 months. A little bit aggressive, but that's okay as long as you can knock off the weight. Shortcut after, but wonder what would be a good approach after that. Same thing. That's up to you. It all comes down to whether you want to do a long bulk, long cut, short bulk, short cut. So that's the best for you. Does that make sense? Like, I start people with a 10-pound bulk and a 10-pound cut for what reason? Number one, to introduce them to a bulk and cut. Number two, to do so without gaining a lot of weight because we have fat fear. And reasonably so. We don't want to get fat, right? And number three, we don't want to get too far from home until we master the cutting aspect. So, what happens after you feel in a groove with bulking and cutting? You do what works for you. Whether you gain 30 pounds over 11 months or 10 pounds over 4 months, you're going to spend the same percentage basically of time in a cut. It all depends on whether you want to do a prolonged cut or a shorter cut. Does that make sense? Big Justin Jones. Is 10 reps on a first set of pull-ups enough? If you have good, clean extension, yeah, I would add 5 pounds. You could add 5 pounds to that. Just make sure you're getting full extension. Big Adonis Slim. Finally hitting a solid bulk for the first time ever. A lot of chicken and rice. In the last 6 weeks, I've noticed I'm growing like crazy. Good, man. That's wonderful. That's where we want to be. Don't hesitate to mix that up a little bit. Pork, fish, eggs, taters instead of rice. Don't hesitate to mix it up and keep the calories. But just from a micronutrient endpoint standpoint. Endpoint standpoint? What am I saying? From a micronutrient standpoint. Input standpoint. Say that 10 times really fast. Big E and K. When repping, say an 8-rep deadlift, should you continue if you have to readjust script? Yeah, you can continue as long as you're not doing any grinders. There's no harm in that. We are trying to progress, and we're trying to do so safely. So if you have a little bit of a micro break, don't worry about that. I don't worry about it at all. Been lifting for years, but lately I've been able to progress linearly on my main barbell lifts, which is highly unusual. I've been doing 3x5s and adding 5 each week. Anything that works for you is okay. I don't like linear progression because for most people it's not sustainable. That doesn't mean it's not a good idea. But just understand with linear progression, it becomes hard enough to add a rep every 4 weeks at some point. So just ride the horse hard until you can't ride anymore, but know that it's going to end sooner or later. Does that make sense? Do you think lean gains, 1 pound a month, can give the same? You're trying to create hypotheticals. 2 pounds a month is a lean bulk. Okay, first I'll say that. If you're trying to only gain 1 pound a month over the course of a year, you're trying to gain only 12. That has the potential to restrict. That doesn't mean it will restrict, but you're putting yourself in a tight pinch when it comes to building muscle because you're trying to ride such a fine line, and usually that's grounded in fear of fat gain. I'm not saying this is the case. I don't know you. But from my experience as a coach, when someone's trying to grind such a fine line, they're afraid of getting fat. So much so that they end up not building muscle. And this is the perfect case. You can't ride that line so finely that it's going to compromise potential gains. That's way, way, way too narrow of a road. The lowest I would ever consider is 1.5 pounds a month. What is more impressive, 4 or 5 legit ass to grass squat or 500 parallel squat? I don't like ass to grass because we're chasing something arbitrary. A lot of that depends on the limb lengths and leverages of the lifter. And a lot of times when someone can do a 4 or 5 ATG, they're getting butt wink. Both of them are good accomplishments, but I don't like chasing the ass to grass because it's some kind of arbitrary thing. And it just usually ends. The rare people that can do it naturally. Let's just put it that way. The 12-week program I was referencing is the one you posted on here a month back with heavy day and volume day. If you're doing squats twice a week, you probably have room for about 2 other exercises, though I would make sure they make sense. Let me know if you have any more questions. I'm not sure what equipment you have available. Big Dan. We got about 5 questions left, guys. Letting you know if you want to get any questions, get them in now. If Arnold from Commando fought Arnold from Predator, who would win? That's a good question. Who do you think would win? I think we'd have a standoff. In which context would you prefer something like 3 straight sets to top off? Top set, back off. Personal preference. It's all personal preference. People have a tendency to try to find a magic way. And I like to get people to try. It's all exercise dependent and preference dependent. But I like on squats and heavier lifts to be able to back down weight, because that first set can feel pretty heavy. So backing down sometimes on the real heavy sets feels better mentally. That's why I have a tendency to do threes on the heavy stuff, the big heavy lifts. So when you do threes or like 5x10, yeah, it's preference based. It's season based. There's no magic. There's no magic at all, my friends. There's different things for different seasons. You want to run things in phases, good 3 to 5 month phase of lifting. You want to see what you like, then maybe let's run something else and run it until we get tired of it. There's no magic. Magic is hard training, progression. We have many, many things you're going to do over the course of the next 10 years. And that's what I'm all about, giving you ideas, giving you possibilities, opening doors, freedom. You pronounce my name perfectly. Thank you. Glad to hear it. I'm a competitive person, so I want to at least place. It depends, man. You're already top 3. You have your own goals and preferences, but I've been at powerlifting meets most of my adult life, the last 15, 18 years. I can count on a handful of number of people I've seen bench 365 at 190. You're already top 3. Hi, Steve. I have bicep tendonitis in both arms. Tried a lot of stuff to get better. You need to use VersaGrips. Grip support, VersaGrip Pros. They cost $60, $70. They'll last you forever. You need grip support 100%. That'll help. That's it. You have an overuse injury from holding all the barbells and dumbbells. Upper posterior 3 days a week, fine. Yeah, absolutely. I have many clients that do it. You just rotate between the upper and posterior 3 days a week. I hate full body too. And there's nothing wrong with full body. I just hate doing it. That's absolutely fine, man. You're going to be working every body part 1.5 times per week. You train hard. You nail your nutrition. You're going to get a lot out of that, my friend. Who was your most jacked and stacked school teacher growing up? In college, I had an English teacher, Dr. Mike, somebody I referenced many, many times on this channel. And he was a bodybuilder and an English teacher. Oops. Is it possible to do 10 to 15 pull-ups at your weight naturally? Anything's possible. I have longer arms, so I don't have the best limb lengths and leverages for doing pull-ups in general. But it all depends on the individual. If you start at a smaller weight and really work on your pull-ups and build your strength, anything's possible. Bees, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you. I appreciate that. Your concrete, no BS approach is a contribution that the internet needs. Thank you. That means a lot. It truly does. Every day I'm waking up trying to do the best I can for you guys. And I just want to be of help. So that I sincerely appreciate that. The legend of Mr. D, Mr. Big D, Mr. Big D. Can't have a better name than Mr. Big D. Using the upper posterior. How long should the workout take? Hour and a half is a little bit on the long side, but hour and 15 minutes, that's kind of the goal. Hour and a half, I don't know. I tend to diddle around and do all the things, and that's fine as long as it's okay for you. If it's run a little bit long, we probably need to cut a few sets here or there. Do you think reverse hypers help deadlifts? Anything, strength helps strength, right? So if you look at the body in totality from head to toe and try to get everything strong from head to toe, then it's going to help the deadlift. Everything helps everything to a degree. You want a reasonable selection of exercises for every body part. And if you're doing that, it's all going to contribute to the bigger picture. Does that make sense? Big Johnny Miles, another tuber of YouTubers, went on saying eat BCAAs and other supplements 30 minutes before lifting and again after for maximum gains. That is a load of horse shit. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take this little magic finger, and I want you to follow that finger over to the old clicky mouse right here, the mouse right here, this mouse. I want you to take that finger over to the mouse, and I want you to clicky click on his channel. Once you clicky click on his channel, I want you to do something very magical. I want you to seek. We're going to play a game of seek and destroy. I want you to seek out that subscribe button, and I want you to smash it until you hit unsubscribe, and I want you to pretend that knucklehead never existed, because this is stupid shit. It's stupid. Maximize gains. I have a magical formula for you. Follow my channel for more professional advice. You are full of shit. You can quote me. You're probably going to come over here and I'm like, and I'll say, you're still full of shit. You think BCAs are going to maximize gains? What a crock of shit. What is he selling? I don't even know the context. It's just horse shit. I don't mean to get so fired up, but you need to unfollow that knucklehead. You really, really do. Magic BCAAs are going to sprout you into some natural monster. Nah. No, it ain't going to make any difference at all. Not going to make any difference. You train right, you eat properly. No, anything you put in your body is going to maximize gains. You want to maximize gains, you flush turds like this off your YouTube profile. That's what you do. Halo. Does incline close grip bench hit triceps more? Magic, the massive iron world, either or, right? The body is very complex. So in the massive iron world, when we're given a choice between two quality exercises, we're not trying to compare them. Which is best for triceps? Flat or incline? This is all speculation for you, because if you put 100 people in the room, maybe 25 will say, I like incline so much more. Maybe 25 will say, I like flat bench so much more. And maybe 50 will say, I like both. But when you are given two choices, reasonable choices, and you are trying to learn which is best for you, the best thing to do is to do both. Okay? Alternate A-B. Week 1 inclines, week 2 flat. Week 3 inclines, week 4 flat. Does that make sense? And you're going to learn. Maybe you'll like one more than the other. Maybe you'll get a better feel based on your triceps or strength or weaknesses than the other. But you're going to learn. So the bottom line is, if I were to come on here and tell you, there is a magical variation, my children, and if you follow the magical variation, this is the game-changing variation. It is called the incline close grip bench. And if you do this, it is far superior than the flat bench. If I came out and said that, I would be full of shit. That's what full of shit influencers do. They get on here and they need content, so they try to convince you that this is the magical new Why didn't I think of incline bench? Why didn't I think of incline close grip bench? This big hulking thing just said incline close grip bench is the magical way. Thank you. I'll be full of crap. So best is always trying both and maybe A-B splitting them and see what works for you. Does that make sense? I don't like, there's no value. This is CrossFit stuff. Like, there's no value in supersetting muscle groups that don't have any connection to one another. All this does is save a minute and make the second exercise more challenging from a physical standpoint in the wrong way. If we want to make something more challenging, we want to have it constructive from a hypertrophy standpoint. If you do dips and then you drop down to pull-ups, you hit in the same chest and triceps, and that's bringing up the intensity level on the chest and triceps. Now, there's a lot of people that don't like my advice on this, but understand, It's just lifting. It's not life or death. If you want to do this, do this. But this is more conditioning stuff. If you enjoy doing this, just do this after a bounty of quality chest and back work. But I'm not a big fan of making things. I'm a fan of making things harder from a quality hypertrophy standpoint. Does that make sense? Ian, I have to say I really appreciate you putting it in my mind. It's great. I'm glad to hear it, man, because what I am about is freeing people, not boxing people in, showing them possibilities and opening doors, not closing doors. Because the bad content producers in this industry try to scare you. You walk away with fear. I have to do this split. I can only do this exercise, right? That's all a lie. Good information, whether it's me or anybody else, is going to free you to train. You're going to be relaxed. You're going to enjoy your training more, and you're going to understand the bigger picture. Thank you. Some good exercise to hit the long head of the triceps. You want to think more well-rounded. Don't think so much, I got to hit the long head, the short head. I want you to pick at least 3 exercises you enjoy and that have good progression opportunities. Close grip bench, JM press, overhead tricep extension, maybe even the dumbbell kickbacks. I like the seated triceps press downs. I have a station right here I absolutely love. Start with about 3 exercises you really love for the triceps. Don't overthink long head, short head. Just make sure you really enjoy them, really get a good feel, and you really have a solid progression opportunity. You'll be fine. BCAs only work with that there Celtec and deer antler velvet. Yeah, maybe a little testosterone thrown in. What's your favorite way to do lunges? I like to do alternating lunges because with unilateral work, which means one arm or leg at a time, it can take a little bit longer of a time. So I like to alternate left, right. You can do them with dumbbells. You can hold a plate. A safety squat bar is a really good way to do that. So you can unrack and do lunges right there in front of a squat rack. Opinion on turbo bulking. It's going to get you fat. You can't build rapid amounts of muscle just overeating. It's just going to get you fat. There's been some research this year that showed that aggressive bulking, the only thing it does is make you fatter. Full body, 1 week, 1 pull-up. Okay, let me read this correctly. Full body, day 1, week 1, pull-up. Week 2, lat pull down and stiff leg deadlift and 45s. I'm confused, sir. I don't know. I'm just confused. I have day 1, week 1, pull up. Day 1 on week 2, lat pull down, stiff leg deadlift, and 45s. I have no idea. If you could rephrase that, we got a few more minutes. I'm not sure what you're asking. What's one of the best pieces of life advice you've ever been given, not related to lifting? I got a couple good ones. Better to be what you is than what you ain't. Because if you ain't what you is what you ain't. I'll repeat that. Better be what you is than what you ain't, because if you ain't what you is what you ain't. Be yourself. Because if you're not being yourself, you're being the opposite of what you want to be. Right? You ain't what you is what you ain't. Be about yourself. Be kind, be patient. Think about the greater good and not just yourself, and try to balance those. Own a dog. What's your thoughts on reverse Nordics? Good exercise. The Nordic curl is something a lot of people like to do but can't do. So don't hesitate to do a band assisted or whatever. Or if you want to do the reverse, that's fine. As long as you're enjoying them. Just don't feel like they're magic exercise you have to do if they're very, very difficult for you. Thoughts on slow long-term bulks? Nah, don't do a pound a month. That's just slowing down the process. And I mentioned this earlier. Most of the time, the long slow term bulks, all they're going to do is slow progress because we're trying to ride such a fine line so we don't get fat. And we're not going to get fat. We're just going to slow down the muscle building process. All right, guys, that's it. I'm going to wait around for any other questions. While I do so, I want you guys to head over to Instagram. Follow me at Ben the Barman. I'd love to connect with you on Instagram. Please do. And remember, I'm here every Friday at 11 Eastern. Coaching is what I do for a living. You can head over to superlivingtoday.com if you want to learn more about coaching. Also, at my website, I have tons of apparel, great lifting shirts. I'm not an apparel company, but I have workouts. I have books. Massive Omnibus is over, it's over 1,500 pages right now. Just programs and information on lifting. I appreciate everything, guys. And let me just see if we got any more comments. No comments? All right, guys. I'll see you guys next week. Have a good weekend. Kick ass. Don't waste any days.
It's not almost over. It's not almost over. You're not almost there. You're not almost there. You're not almost there.
Do both. Try them every other week.